The world of streaming cinema in 2024 is a strange, nebulous landscape, a digital ether where star power battles the cold, calculated metrics of the algorithm. And it is within this arena that Netflix dropped The Union, a film that feels less like a piece of art and more like a rugged, well-oiled machine built for a Saturday night dopamine hit. Directed by Julian Farino, this action-comedy espionage thriller attempts to answer a question nobody really asked but everyone is curious to see answered. What happens when you take the blue-collar, beer-drinking charm of New Jersey and smash it violently into the tuxedo-wearing, martini-sipping world of international espionage? The result is a film that rides entirely on the back of its two leads, Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, stars whose gravitational pull is strong enough to keep even the flimsiest of scripts in orbit. Our entry point into this chaotic universe is Mike McKenna, played by Wahlberg with the kind of comfortable, worn-in energy of a favorite pair of work boots. Mike is the archetype of the stuck, hometown hero. He is a construction worker in Paterson, New Jersey, a man who builds the skyscrapers he will never live in, drinks at the same dive bar he has frequented for decades, and sleeps with his former 7th-grade teacher in a running gag that feels uncomfortably Oedipal yet strangely fitting for a man who refuses to grow up. Mike is content in his stagnation, a king of the small pond, enveloped in the safety of the known. He is the guy who never left, the one who peaked in high school not because of a tragedy, but because he simply stopped running. This is Wahlberg in his element, playing the everyman with a heart of gold and a head full of rocks, a character we have seen a dozen times before but still somehow root for because he represents the comforting lie that simplicity is a virtue. Then, the catalyst arrives, not with a bang, but with the click of heels on a sticky bar floor. Roxanne Hall, portrayed by the ageless and lethal Halle Berry, walks back into Mike's life like a ghost from a timeline he regrets abandoning. She is his high school sweetheart, the one who got away, the one who left Jersey to do something with her life. That something, as it turns out, is becoming a top-tier operative for a covert organization known simply as the Union. Berry brings a sharp, feline intensity to Roxanne, a stark contrast to Wahlberg's puppy dog confusion. The chemistry here is the engine of the film. It is not the sizzling, dangerous heat of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but rather a warm, nostalgic smolder, the kind of connection that speaks of shared history and unresolved what-ifs. The scene where they reconnect is a masterclass in movie star charisma, a dance of eyes and smiles that inevitably leads to Mike being tranquilized and kidnapped, because in the world of spy movies, a ketchup drink always ends in international abduction. Mike wakes up not in his Jersey bed, but in a sterile, high-tech facility in London, thrust into a world he is woefully underqualified for. Here, the film reveals its central conceit, a hook that is admittedly clever in its populism. The Union is not the CIA, nor is it MI6. It is a secret agency comprised entirely of blue-collar workers, the invisible army, that keeps the world running. They are the plumbers, the electricians, the truck drivers of the spy world, men and women who can blend in because society has been trained to look right through them. Leading this motley crew is Tom Brennan, played by J.K. Simmons, who chews the scenery with the delightful aggression of a man who knows exactly what kind of movie he is in. Simmons explains that they need Mike not for his skills, but for his lack of them. He is a nobody, a digital ghost, a man whose identity is so unremarkable that he can walk through the high-security doors that the elite agents cannot. It is a validation of the working class, a fantasy that posits that street smarts and grit are more valuable than an Ivy League education and a tuxedo. What follows is the obligatory training montage, a staple of the genre that The Union executes with a wink and a nod. Mike is beaten, bruised, and molded from a construction worker into a field agent in the span of 2 weeks, a narrative leap that requires a suspension of disbelief so massive it could bridge the Atlantic. Yet, we buy it, largely because we want to see Wahlberg punch someone. The mission is standard-issue espionage nonsense. A briefcase containing the identities of every Western Allied intelligence agent has been stolen and is being auctioned off to the highest bidder in the criminal underworld. It is the kind of MacGuffin that Alfred Hitchcock would have chuckled at, a plot device that exists solely to move characters from one exotic location to another. The stakes are ostensibly the safety of the free world, but really, the stakes are whether Mike can impress Roxanne and prove that he is more than just a guy from Jersey. The action sequences are where the film attempts to flex its budget, and they are a mixed bag of kinetic energy and digital slickness. There are rooftop chases across the slate-gray skyline of London that feel tactile and dangerous, grounded by the fact that Mike is terrified of heights, a nice character beat that adds tension to the spectacle. The choreography emphasizes improvisation over martial arts perfection. Mike fights like a brawler, using his environment, throwing tools, and relying on brute force, while Roxanne moves with surgical precision. This contrast in fighting styles is a visual representation of their relationship, the sledgehammer and the scalpel. However, the film suffers from the modern action curse of rapid-fire editing, occasionally making it difficult to track the geography of the chaos. Yet, when it works, such as in the chaotic shootout at the auction, it delivers the adrenaline spike that the genre demands. As the narrative coils tighter, we are introduced to the antagonist, and here the film takes a turn into the predictable. The villain is revealed to be Nick Faraday, played by Mike Colter, Roxanne's estranged husband and a former Union agent believed to be dead. Colter brings a smooth, menacing charm to the role, playing Nick not as a cackling maniac, but as a disillusioned professional who realized that the game was rigged. His betrayal strikes at the heart of the Union's ethos. He is the worker who realized the company didn't care about him and decided to burn the factory down. This adds a layer of personal drama to the proceedings, shifting the conflict from a geopolitical struggle to a messy domestic dispute with guns. The love triangle, Mike, Roxanne, and her undead, traitorous husband, provides the emotional spine for the third act, forcing Roxanne to choose between the man she married and the boy she loved. The climax relocates the mayhem to the sun-drenched coast of Croatia, a welcome visual shift from the rainy gloom of London. The change in palette mirrors the clarity Mike has found. He is no longer the confused captive but an active participant, a man who has found his footing on the slippery slope of espionage. The final chase is a spectacle of vehicular destruction, a symphony of screeching tires and shattering glass that feels like a throwback to the stunt-heavy action films of the 90s. It is here that the blue-collar theme pays off, with Mike using his driving skills, honed not on a racetrack, but on the unforgiving streets of New Jersey, to outmaneuver the highly trained mercenaries. The showdown with Nick is brutal and personal, ending not with a monologue, but with the decisive finality of a bullet, a reminder that in this world, hesitation is death. The Union wraps up its narrative threads with a tidy, almost sitcom-like bow. The list is recovered, the bad guy is vanquished, and the heroes return home. The final scene sees Mike and Roxanne attending the wedding of Mike's best friend back in Paterson, a return to the ordinary that feels earned. But things have changed. Mike is no longer just a construction worker. He has tasted the forbidden fruit of adventure. The chemistry between Wahlberg and Berry finally culminates in a promise of a future together, both romantic and professional, as Brennan recruits Mike permanently into the fold. It is a setup for a franchise, the inevitable promise of The Union 2, but it also serves as a satisfying conclusion to Mike's arc. He hasn't left his roots behind, he has simply expanded them. Critically, one could argue that The Union is cinema as fast food, tasty, consistent, and largely devoid of nutritional value. It does not reinvent the wheel, it merely puts shiny new rims on an old chassis. The plot twists are telegraphed from miles away, the dialogue often veers into cliched one-liners, and the visual language is strictly functional. Yet, to dismiss it entirely would be to ignore the simple pleasure of watching two movie stars do what they do best. There is a comfort in the formula, a reassurance in the knowledge that the good guys will win, the bad guys will lose, and Mark Wahlberg will look perplexed but determined while doing it. It is a film that understands its assignment perfectly, to entertain without challenging, to thrill without disturbing. In the end, The Union stands as a testament to the enduring appeal of the star vehicle. In an era where intellectual property often outshines the actors, this film relies entirely on the audience's affection for Berry and Wahlberg. It is a throwback to a time when a movie didn't need a multiverse or a cinematic universe to exist. It just needed a guy, a girl, and a gun. It captures a specific vibe of Sunday afternoon cable TV movie, elevated by Netflix money. A smooth, digestible piece of entertainment that slides down easy and leaves no aftertaste. It is the cinematic equivalent of a well-made cheeseburger. You know exactly what you're getting, and sometimes, that is exactly what you want.